After building up the terrain and placing the blacksmith last week, this week I started working on the other side of the river. I decided to build a farm here, and I always work on the largest element first, working my way down towards the smallest detail. In this case, the largest element is a house for the farmers. But first, I had to work on the surrounding terrain to prepare for the placement of the house. This house ended up taking the entire week to build, even with the blacksmith as a blueprint for scale and techniques, since a lot of trial and error was required, especially for the roof. As you may expect, roofing is always the most difficult part. Therefore, I will have to split this farm build into 2 separate episodes, instead of just one as I had originally intended. The colors used in the chimney is to represent clay bricks, stones, and mortar. For this house, I wanted to use the same build style as the blacksmith, such as the timber framing style with the curved struts and the tall, sharp angled roof. This is because I would expect buildings in any given area to employ the same artisans and builders, resulting in similar build techniques. But I wanted to make this house look older, more weathered, and built on a lower budget, since blacksmithing was probably a more lucrative profession than farming. I prefer the stained look of tan and dark tan for the walls instead of the overly clean looking white. I thought the best way to show you this build is to break it down to a level where all the parts used are visible. The intention here is to make a very compact instructional video. Pausing may help if you wish to build this or something similar, but I didn't want to break it down any further than this and make the video too long. I wanted the back wall to be removable, along with the upper floor for better access to the interior. But I couldn't add any wooden posts in the wall on the inner side, since it affected the integrity of the wall. This is because I couldn't have a strip of 1x plate on the underside. For the second floor, I had to resort to using Technic bricks, since the span of this building is quite wide. The roof ended up being very heavy, and using just normal plates was not possible with the removable wall underneath. But I tried my best to cover it all up. Once the entire house is assembled, you will see that none of the Technic parts are visible. The only spot it is visible is at the interior stairwell if the roof is removed. But at least this makes for a strong and robust build. Every part of this building is quite strong. I prefer making stronger builds in general, if possible, instead of fragile, crumbly builds, even if I have to resort to using Technic. Couples in the olden days usually have about 50 kids, so I wanted to reflect that here with plenty of these floor sleeping mats. The parents get to use a proper bed though. I think these duller colors for the bedding is probably more realistic for a lower income family in those days. I went with thatched roofing here, using the 3 finger rock pieces like the roofing on the Lion Knight's castle, to reflect the lower budget of this house. A ton of trial and error was required for this roof to minimize gaps. It was by far the most time-consuming part of this build. I designed this roof to be easily removed, like the upper floor and the back wall. It's time for supper. Here we have the mother setting up the table, the eldest son calling his father and younger brothers to come have supper. As I mentioned earlier, this farm build will have to be split into 2 episodes. So there will be another episode for this farm, and after that I will build the bridge and do botanical works for the finale episode. At least that's the plan. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.